This is the Healthy Business Podcast, the show for ambitious business owners who want to grow and scale in a healthy way. I'm Sarah Cook, and I'll be sharing with you tips, inspiration, and proven methods from leading business experts, entrepreneurs, and health and wellness professionals to help you grow your business with more income and having more impact, but in a way that works for you. Because when you have clarity and strategy, you can achieve the results you want. I'm super excited. We have Frances today, who is a yoga teacher, and I love talking to other people in the health and wellness space because, as you know, it means a huge amount to me. So welcome, Frances. It's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people.
Oh, thanks so much for having me here, Sarah. I really appreciate it. I'm a yoga teacher and I teach yoga online now. Since lockdown, I've taken my offering online. So I share my teachings with people in live classes, and I've created a membership with a library of all the recordings from the classes. So, and I also help people with meditation as well. So I offer meditation sessions. So what I'm really interested in and my approach is about sharing really useful, practical, simple techniques and tools from the yoga tradition that people can use to support their mental and physical well-being. So it's all about, for me, down regulation of the nervous system and being able to manage stress and overwhelm, relearning to relax, because that's something that's so difficult these days, isn't it, in the society that we live in. And so my classes maybe don't look necessarily like traditional yoga. I probably appeal to people more who maybe haven't done yoga before, or they've done a traditional yoga class and it hasn't worked out for them. So maybe it made them feel like they weren't flexible enough, or they just didn't feel like they were very good at it. So I try to create a space for people where they can feel like empowered in what they're doing. So all the movements we do are sort of broken down and layered up, so you can kind of choose how you want to do it in your own way and in a way that's right for your body.
I love that. And I think it's for me, just kind of having watched you kind of grow and scale your business and kind of moving things from an offline perspective to an online perspective with everything that's happened through COVID and lockdowns and all that kind of thing, is that you are kind of embodying that healthy business, but done in a healthy way, because it is, it's fitting with your lifestyle. It's enabled you to still help probably even more people, hasn't it, with being able to go online. Your reach, your audience is therefore expanded hugely. What impact has that been for you as a person that has enabled you to kind of have that sort of, I guess, more flexible lifestyle?
Well, it's been incredible, actually, So when we talk about lockdown, obviously it's been, terrible in many ways and for many people, this whole situation. But for myself, and I think probably for other, people in my kind of position, it has opened up opportunities in the way that I work now. And if I just give you some context. So when I was before pre-lockdown, when I was teaching physical classes, I think I was teaching between 15 and 20 classes a week. And that meant driving to different villages, probably within a 10 to 20 mile radius, for events and classes. And so there's a lot of running around, a lot of lugging huge bags of yoga mats and, teaching in cold halls. And just generally, that was very exhausting. Firstly, physically, because actually the teaching of the classes takes a lot out of you physically, even though you're not necessarily doing it fully. It still is physically demanding. And so 15 to 20 was a lot for me. And I know teachers actually who do a lot more than that. And so, that is really physically demanding. And then on top of that, there's the kind of mental overload of juggling, because I was juggling my 3 children, and I'm a single parent as well. So trying to sort out babysitters, figure out, you know, where they're going to be when, trying to be there for them as much as I can be, because that's why I got into this role. That's why I came into this this sort of world, was to try to find some balance in my life. And so it was almost like I was losing that balance, because I'd become quite I guess successful in terms of, like, you know, being able to fill all my time with classes. But I was losing the balance that I had sort of come into this role to find. So by coming online and pivoting online, as we came into lockdown, I had to rethink everything. I knew that I wanted to be there for my community. So that was my main aim. Straight away, I thought to myself, you know, it was such a shock to all our systems, wasn't it? It was a very stressful time. And I just thought, I just need to show up still. And that was my first kind of thought. So I immediately set up classes online, but I did it around the kids, because obviously they were at home. So I did a very early morning class on a Wednesday at 6:30, so I could do it before the kids got up. And then I did 2 evening classes once they'd gone upstairs. I'm not going to say they went to bed, because they probably weren't in bed, but they were being quiet at least. So and a morning class. So I had these just 4 classes that I knew that I could manage around the kids, so that I could still show up for my community and offer some kind of support, you know, in terms of stress management tools that we all kind of, myself included, needed at that time. So I went from that 15 to 20 classes to 4, down to 4, and just showed up basically. And I was very lucky that most of the people signed up to continue to do yoga with me in that way. And so I set up a membership, and that was a way that I could kind of, all I really wanted to do was streamline it for everyone, because we had these Zoom codes being thrown, you know, forwards and backwards, and messages back and forth, and trying to manage payments and things. And I just wanted everything to be streamlined, stress-free for myself and for the people, you know, coming to the class. So it's just like no brainer. We just all know that we're going to turn up and be able to do yoga and relax for an hour. So it all happened quite organically, setting up my membership. And I was lucky that most of the people who had been coming to my classes signed up to continue to practice with me. Yeah. So it's been from April last year to almost a year now. And I still have my membership and have grown my members and have added in offerings to just keep trying to support them in the best way that I can, you know. So I've added in the meditation sessions, I've added in a monthly retreat afternoon, so more emphasis on relaxation. I collaborate with guest experts and bring them in. So just really trying to share as much, you know, useful information as I can to support people's well-being, you know, during this challenging time.
Amazing. And I think the key thread for me within all of that is you put your audience first, but you did it in a way that works for you. And for me, that is so important, especially when it comes to running your own business, especially when you're trying to juggle everything else that's going on. And I think, you know, the last few months, last year has really tested all of our boundaries, hasn't it? And because you did it in a way that enabled your audience to still get the support, still get the service, still get the value from you, they've stuck with you. You know, you've grown that. Your membership has been, you know, a huge success. And that all comes down because you listen to your audience. And I call it active listening, because you listen to them and then you put on in place the things that actually they needed. So you weren't doing it from a point of, okay, this is what I want to do. You did it from a point of, what does the audience need? What do my ideal clients need? But how can I do it that's going to work for me based on my lifestyle goals, based on my lifestyle situation, but also what do I financially need to bring in? And I think when you get that combination, that's when that, you know, in sort of scale, that success really comes into it, because, you know, we have to put our audience first, don't we? That's the reason that we do all these things. It's the reason that we've trained in the health and wellness space, is that we want to help people. But we can't do that if we're not looking after ourselves, if we're doing everything at the expense of other people. And that's one of the things that kind of has led me into that journey as well, of hitting that fully booked state, which you did within your yoga classes. But also you kind of twisted it. And I love the fact that, even physically demanding, you've taken that all away, because you're not having to drive. And obviously you can't do that at the moment, but you're not having to drive in different places. You're not having to set up all those yoga mats. You're not having to then pack it all up again, drive on, but also being so tight on timing to go and pick the kids up, or making sure they're okay, and rushing against the clock. That it hits against our lifestyle boundaries as well then, doesn't it? And I think that for me is what I get really excited about, and I love that you've done, is that you've built a business that works for you, but actually it's your clients that are at the root of that, which has enabled you to have that success. And you've grown your audience, haven't you? Because you've not been sort of location dependent. You've been able to help people much wider than you were traditionally.
Yes, yeah, and that's been really exciting, actually. Is having people now in the community who aren't, based locally, and that's really, really nice to be able to help more people, because we are. That's the thing. I think if you go into any kind of health and wellness business, generally it's because you get so much out of helping people, and that's kind of it's what drives me. So that's why that's what helps motivate me to turn up, and to show up over and over again. But what sometimes happens with when you're in that kind of mindset is you don't have the boundaries to know when to stop. And I think that's what this has been a great learning curve for, is and this pivot through lockdown has been to actually be really, really aware of the boundaries of my energy. And it's like, because if I don't kind of guard that and my well-being and my own health to a certain extent, then you're not able to then show up, for the community and help them. So it's just like, it's like this, it's in the similar way that I would always say to my clients, like, you have to look after your energy and look after your well-being so that you can show up for your families. It's like we are motivated generally more by other people than for ourselves, aren't we? It's actually quite hard to kind of do things for yourself, I think. I don't know if that's like a massive generalization.
No, I see it. I think a lot of people in the health and wellness space, that's very, very true. As you said, a lot of the reasons that we went into this space is because we want to help other people. And I'm a big believer in, you can't do that unless you look after yourself as well. It goes back to that sort of aeroplane oxygen mask, doesn't it? That you're always told to put yours on first. And that's the same in life and in everything else that we do. Whoever it is that we're trying to look after, whether it's our clients, whether it's our families, we have to look after ourselves first. I want to drill down into that a little bit more, actually. What tips do you have? So other health and wellness business owners that are listening to this, what tips, what habits would you, or do you put in place that keeps you aligned to your boundaries, that enables you to run the business in the ways that you want to?
That's a really good question. So the first thing that springs to mind for me is that I have to be really mindful about taking time for relaxation. And that means conscious relaxation. So not watching TV, not, not things that we might traditionally think of as relaxing at the end of a day. And actually, this is why I came into this world, because I need help with this stuff. And like so many of us, it's not natural for me to be able to relax. I'm not one of these people that find it easy, even though I'm a yoga teacher. I automatically drop into a being busy program. It's almost like a kind of, it's like a coping mechanism, I suppose. It's like, if you stay busy, you don't have to deal with things, or you don't have to you don't have to deal with stuff, do you, if you're busy? And actually, what is sometimes quite dangerous when you're a business owner is that there are no boundaries unless you make those boundaries. And so I can really fall into that program of being busy. If I'm, stressed about something, then I find myself, I'll just work all the time if I let myself. So this is where my top tip is, that I have to be very, very careful and mindful about not letting that happen. So it comes down to boundaries again, specifically though, about taking time to relax my mind and my body, so that is, for me, that looks like regular yoga nidra, which is like a guided relaxation. So I take myself off for half an hour. It's basically lying down, listening to a guided relaxation that helps you to drift off. You might have come across it in like a self-hypnosis or a guided meditation. They're all kind of the same thing. They're doing the same job. So it's that relaxation of body and mind. It's like I see it like recharging your batteries, basically. And it's funny because even when you go to sleep, a lot of people think when you go to sleep, I'm going to relax, I'll relax when I go to bed. But sleep isn't always relaxing. You might not get a good night's sleep. You might, especially if you're stressed. So this is actually taking time for conscious relaxation. So that is one thing that is really important that I have to have in my routine, along with meditation, so resting my mind. And I don't sit for half an hour. I might just do 10 minutes before I go to bed, or 5 minutes. It's just taking a little bit of time. So it's these little chunks of time guarded to rest the mind, the body. Walking is really, really important for me. So physical activity and getting some kind of physical activity in. Obviously, I'm teaching yoga and I do yoga, but I really get a lot from walking as well. So it's like, these are my things. And I think everyone has to find their things. It's like those things that, and they're like resources. They're things that resource you and build your strength, your resilience, to then be able to run your business from a place of joy and creativity and energy, and be able to manage the challenges when they come up, because they do inevitably. They're always going to be there. It's going to be something that happens that's annoying, some kind of tech thing, or that I've been having this week. It doesn't have to become dramatic if you feel resourced, if you're fulfilling your needs. So I think that's something to really consider and spend time considering, not when you're running your business, as well as considering how you're running your business, consider how you are resourcing yourself to run your business, as well as show up for everyone around you, your family, and show up with energy and motivation and with humor, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Definitely. I love those tips. And I think you're absolutely right. As a business owner, there's always something to do, isn't there? There's 101 million things that we can be doing, could be doing, should be doing, all those words that we insert. Actually, as a CEO of your own business, which is what you all are if you're running it, you need to protect your biggest asset, and that is you. And for me, that's what it always comes down to, is making those decisions. We've all got, a similar amount of time during the day. We choose how we spend it. Yes, there are things we have to do. And, if you've got kids, you obviously have to make sure that they're fed and watered and go to sleep and all the rest of it. But outside of that, we get to choose how we spend our time. It's one of the really brilliant things about running our business. But as part of that, we also need to make sure we've got the downtime to re-energize, to relax, because then we show up as better, health and wellness experts. And that's what people are coming to you for, is your expertise. And for me, it's a little bit about walking that talk, isn't it? Of, we're so good in telling other people what to do, but as soon as we become a business owner, we have all this other stuff that we need to think about. And that's okay, as long as we've got those boundaries in place, we've got the self-care. And the other thing that I loved about what you said is that self-care doesn't need to be long periods of time. It can just be those little 10-minute nuggets. It can just be, a half an hour that we just take time away from screen if you're working on screen, or, from answering your messages or being on social media. Just taking time to let your head have that downtime, that headspace, let your body have that space as well. For me, it's kind of all intrinsic, isn't it? So yeah, thank you so much for sharing those tips. I think it's super helpful, and hopefully if you are listening to this as well, it's been useful. Thank you. I've loved chatting to you and hearing a little bit more about what you do, and how you've used, I guess, the last few months, the last year, and being really open to opportunities as well, because I think that's the other thing as well. We can get a little bit fixed in doing what we've always done. And I think this last year has kind of shown us that we can't really rest on our laurels. We need to be open to opportunities. We need to evolve if we're going to be sustainable and successful long term. And we don't know what's around the corner, do we? You know, anything could happen, whether
Yeah.
it's good things, bad things, whether actually we want to take a holiday. As a business owner, that's okay. But if you've got a sustainable business in place, you can do all of that. And so I love the fact that you took really quick action. And I think you said it was April last year that you set up your membership. So turn that around really, really quickly to be able to support your clients. But being open to that, you know, learning the tech, learning the different ways of working so that you could then support your audience, and it's paid off hugely. If someone has I suppose taken a little bit longer to get their head round the fact of, you know, being open to opportunities, looking at doing their business in a different way, because I know there are lots of different people who are just like, you know what, I'm okay, I'm just going to wait until doors reopen again, which they will, but again, we don't know what's going to happen long term. What would your advice be to someone who is worried about changing or have got loads of ideas but not really sure what to do about them? What would you recommend, or sort of as the next step for them?
I mean, for me, it's definitely being focused on how you can help your community. You know, as we've all got people, like if you've been working, you know, face to face with people before, you've got a community there of people. So you may not have brought them online yet, you may not have connected with them online, but you've got people you used to work with. So I would say first and foremost, think about what they need. Those people, they're probably missing you, you know, and missing the service that you used to offer them, whatever that is, whether you're like a reflexologist or a massage therapist or a yoga teacher, whatever they came to you for before. You know, they are missing something there. So it's like, how, even if you were just starting to connect with them now online, you know, in the time that we've got left, before things sort of start to open up again. But, you know, we don't know what stuff's going to be like in the future. This has all shown us that we can't predict, you know, what's going to happen. So it's almost like we don't know if things will ever go back to the way that they were before, you know, or how long it will take for them to go back to that way and be like it was before, and us not have to worry about it anymore, you know, when we just don't know. So how can you connect with the people that you used to work with? You know, maybe starting to bring some connection with them online if you haven't already. We're so lucky with the resources that we've got online. It's all free. You know, we can communicate, we can share, we can create this community space. So even if you're not necessarily in a place where you want to start like selling a service to them, you can start to create that community feel. And it's just like getting back in touch with them. You know, they were there for you when you were, you know, they were your client. So how can you be there for them now, you know, to reach out? So, and then once you've kind of connected with people and, you know, found people who want to connect with you online and start to build that community, whatever it looks like, you know, whether it's a Facebook group or on Instagram or whether it's an email list, then you can start to create conversations where you find out what it is they do really need. Like what do they need? And I, you know, just ask them, what do you need right now? You know, what how are you? How's things? You know, just like you would if you were seeing them face to face. And it's amazing the feedback that you get. And you know, that guides what you then need to do if, you know, if you are ready to create something for them, you know, whether that's like some kind of course or an online event or, you know, a class, anything, you know, an online session, one-to-one or to a group. But, you know, you will you can be led by them. That's what I would say. I'd say that's where to start. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, if you are listening to this and feeling a little bit nervous about making that step, your audience needs you. Like, we are in a perfect position as health and wellness experts. We're living in a health crisis, and now more than ever, people need health and wellness support. So they might not feel comfortable reaching out to you. And I think that's where we need to almost step into our own, beacon of light and be their support, be their guide, to help them with whatever it is that they need right now. And as you said, quite often it can just be a connection. It can just be that active listening that we were talking about earlier. But knowing your ideal client, making that connection, building that relationship with them, that really does lead them to all these different ideas, all these different ways that you can create different revenue streams, as well as really strengthening the relationship, so that when you can see people in person again, if you choose to, you've got that connection there. People are then ready to come back to you. So for me, it's exactly right. It's having that confidence, I guess, to believe in yourself, that your value that you can put out there is still so relevant, perhaps even more relevant now than it ever has been. So if you are feeling a little bit scared or a bit worried about being visible or making that kind of first outreach to connect with them, they will be ready. They will be, almost desperate to hear from you. So I would really encourage that, even if it is just reaching out on Messenger to your favorite clients, just checking in with them. Do it from a point of care. We're health and wellness, professionals, doing it from a point of care. This isn't about you selling. This is about connecting, checking in with them that they're okay, and what do they need? What support do they need? And that will then lead up to a whole load of just different ideas, different opportunities that you then choose whether you want to take them up or not. So yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And where can people find you? So if people are, thinking, oh, I love what she's saying, this is all great, or I'm interested in trying yoga, where can people find you?
So I've got a group on Facebook called Happy Healthy with Frances Robertson Ritchie, me, and I share short videos, yoga videos, meditation techniques, workshops. There's loads of free stuff in there because I like to offer a free offering, as well as having my paid membership, so people can kind of come and try and see what I do. So that's where people can find me, and I can give you the link for that so you can share it if you like, Sarah.
Yeah, we'll make sure those go into the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me, Frances. Absolute pleasure to chat to you today and to learn a little bit more about your business, but also the success that you've had and made out of being open to opportunities over the last few months. So wishing you loads more success, and thank you so much again for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Healthy Business Podcast. You can get a copy of my best-selling book, Healthy You, Wealthy Business, over on my website, sarahcookcoaching.com/book. In there, you'll find practical advice, useful tools, and real actionable steps to help you be your best self and build a wildly successful business with ease, so that you can create a limitless life in the way that you choose.